I have an article here from thehill.com. It's up on archive because they're questionable. Anyway, the top stream shows are almost all old. Why? That's actually pretty simple, but the most streamed show last year wasn't the latest Netflix reality TV show craze, nor was it the highly anticipated final season of Succession, or the debut of The Last of Us. According to Nielsen, the most minutes last year, more than 57 billion, were spent watching Suits, a legal drama that premiered 12 years prior. The show, which is available to stream on Netflix and Peacock, stars the former actress Meghan Markle, now the Duchess of Sussex, and likely has her to thank for its second life. But Suits isn't the exception. I would also argue that, there's no question that Meghan Markle being on the show is probably the biggest reason, but it is on two different streamers at the same time. So I think that does help some. But anyway, old shows which debuted over a decade ago dominated the top streaming list of 2023. Several of the programs, including Suits, Gilmore Girls, and Friends, have been off the air for years. We got top 10, Suits, Bluey, kids cartoon, NCIS, Grey's Anatomy, Cocomelon, another kids cartoon, Big Bang Theory, Gilmore Girls, Friends, Heartland, and Supernatural. As it mentions here, one of the other reasons is that there's so many more episodes. As I said, their libraries are so much larger. There's only one season so far, the huge HBO hit The Last of Us, but there are 21 seasons of NCIS and 19 seasons of Grey's Anatomy. Just more minutes to binge watch. They do also have a list of the top 10 original stream shows: Ted Lasso, The Night Agent, Ginny and Georgia, Virgin River, Love is Blind, Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan, Gabby's Dollhouse, The Mandalorian, Outer Banks, and The Lincoln Lawyer. And they all have very respectable minutes viewed, considering that some of these series have a couple episodes, or a couple seasons, or series, if you don't live in the U.S. I think that's part of it. Jack Ryan's got 4 seasons. Mandalorian's got 3 so far. So, it's going to be hard to rank against a series with 21 seasons. That's a hell of a lot more episodes. Plus, also, a lot of times the network shows, they would have 22 episodes per season, things of that nature. Not always. But it's just one of those things where I think one of the biggest reasons that these older shows have dominated the streaming charts is because, well, quite frankly, they're good shows or great shows, depending on your viewpoint. But also, they're not concerned with lecturing you and trying to push the narrative and trying to push an agenda and stuff. So many current shows are just more interested in, well, we got to have as much diversity and inclusion as possible, even if it doesn't make any sense. We got to have these strong female characters, even if it doesn't make any sense. We've got to have these, small people just kicking the ass of these huge, big, bulking thugs and so on and such forth. And everything's got to be political, everything's got to be agenda driven and stuff. And some of these older shows, especially the ones that, like for instance, Friends and stuff, hell, they've done, I don't know how many think pieces I've seen on why Friends is actually more problematic than you think, and all that kind of stuff, or more problematic than you remember, or blah blah blah. And they want to complain about it. Seinfeld's another show like that and stuff. And just, it's like everyone's trying to just push an agenda, push a narrative, and everything. And these older shows, there is some comfort food aspect to it, where you kind of know what's going to happen. Because like a repeat viewing. I know people who will rewatch The Office or rewatch Parks and Recreation, stuff like that. So you kind of know what's happening. I think with a comedy, it's a lot easier to rewatch shows, whereas like these dramas and stuff, it's almost like you want to watch it from start to finish, essentially. Just because it's like, how many people do you know that would rewatch the first 3 seasons of a series and then stop watching? No. At that point, you're invested. You got to go all the way. Now, if you know what's happened and you've already watched the series a few times, maybe you don't do it. But anyway, I guess that's neither here nor there. The article does conclude, I will link this in the description box if you want to see it for yourself. But the article does conclude talking about Moana and Encanto as the most streamed movies that were released in 2016, 2021. They don't really go much into detail about the movies. It's more about the TV shows and stuff. It's not surprising. I'm not going to just sit here and say it's all about a woke agenda is why these older shows are more popular. I think the biggest reason is that they're not agenda driven and stuff, because they're more concentrated on being good shows. But another very large reason is that there's just more episodes, to be honest. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Thank you very much for watching.